Alright, Uma Fight Cam. In this video, I want to talk about a sad state, the sad state of boxing. And one of the saddest things that has occurred actually in the last 10 years. This video was actually inspired. It should have probably been done. Many of you may think it should have been done some time ago. But it was inspired by a conversation between myself and the co-founder of Uma Fight Camp, Master Nasiba T. Hill. We were talking about Roberto Duran, and she said all of a sudden, you know who reminds me of Roberto Duran? So I asked who. And she said, Manny Pacquiao. Now, that actually brought me to the realization that I needed to make this video. Because there's a phenomenon that happened within the last 10 years or so. Floyd Mayweather has benefited from that, and Manny Pacquiao has been a victim of that. There was a time when boxing was considered fighting. But when the UFC came about, people looked at the UFC like that was fighting, and looked at wrestling, the WWF type of wrestling, not the academic type of wrestling, but the WWF type of wrestling, and said, well, that's entertainment. And then boxing kind of got let off the hook. And boxing got left off the hook because of the UFC. So people said, okay, when I want to see fighting, I'll watch the UFC. But something happened. What happened was the expectations that the average fan had of fighters went down the drain. And then came Floyd Mayweather. Now, Floyd Mayweather clearly is a great fighter. But Floyd Mayweather's record, when closely examined, is one of the emptiest records in the history of boxing when it comes down to all-time greats. That is a bold statement. Most people on YouTube would never say something like that, but I am going to make my case for Manny Pacquiao as being the phenomenal fighter in fighting today and not Floyd Mayweather. And I'm going to make it like I make every case through induction, deduction, and a sound foundation. First, let's look at the three things briefly that are roadblocks. First, let's look at the drugging, okay? The idea somehow that Manny Pacquiao is on drugs. Let's look at that. First of all, Manny Pacquiao has never tested positive for drugs. The same testing that found Lamont Peterson guilty of using steroids. The same testing that found James Toney had something in his system. And because if you look at James Toney, you kind of know he's not a bodybuilder. So I believe what James Toney said. I believe him when he said that he had some kind of salve or some kind of ointment on his arm to help his rotator cuff heal or feel better for a fight, and that it was in his system. But understand that the same testing that found something in those fighter systems never found anything in Manny Pacquiao's system. The fact of the matter is this, is that the cult of Floyd Mayweather, the Floyd Mayweather fanatics, saw that Floyd told Manny Pacquiao to take Olympic testing. Manny Pacquiao refused to do so, not because he was on steroids, but because he felt that Floyd was trying to be bigger than boxing and had no right to dictate terms to him. When Manny Pacquiao refused to bow down to Floyd Mayweather fanatics then said he must be on drugs. He has never ever tested positive for drugs. In fact, as I speak to you right now, there is a drug testing center in Las Vegas, Nevada that is so stringent that even the Las Vegas Boxing Commission says that many things that are illegal will pop up as an illegal substance if that particular organization, another organization, tested the fighter. Who was the first big name client to test with that organization? They go and say, I want you to test me because your standards are higher than the Las Vegas, the Nevada Boxing Commission. Who was one of the first fighters to do that? Manny Pacquiao. Not Floyd Mayweather, not any other fighter. But Manny Pacquiao said, I want you to test me. The most stringent, the most strict testing organization outfit in the United States, Manny Pacquiao demanded that they take him on as a client. So no, he was never tested positive for drugs. The only problem was that Floyd Mayweather wanted an excuse not to fight him. And when he told him to take a test and Manny refused, all of a sudden his fans, Floyd's fans, said, see, he must be on drugs. Next, let's look at knockouts. First of all, we need to understand something. Real fighters, former street fighters, former martial artists or martial artists, hardcore martial artists, they never lost respect for Manny Pacquiao after he got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. And why didn't they lose respect? Because of something that Floyd Mayweather fans and fanatics want to overlook. He was on the attack when he got knocked out against Juan Manuel Marquez. He was beating the new and improved Juan Manuel Marquez easier than he had beaten him in other fights. Juan Manuel Marquez himself said that that was the last punch he had in him because Manny Pacquiao was moving in for the kill. Manny Pacquiao said himself, I would not have changed anything because my aggression is the way it is. I have the chance of being knocked out. Me personally, I will tell you this, as a former karate fighter and someone who loves karate, in the martial arts, in true karate, there is a term called Iken Hizatsu. And this particular term essentially means suicide technique in English, for lack of a better term. And essentially what that says is that you throw your best technique, your hardest technique, designed to destroy the opponent, with the full knowledge that while you're doing that, you're leaving yourself open to also be hurt. That is the idea and the mindset of the samurai. Floyd Mayweather does not fight with that idea. Manny Pacquiao does. That's why he's a throwback. Manny Pacquiao has been knocked out, and he has been knocked out as a result of his aggression. I personally have no respect for any fighter that will alter their way of fighting because they're afraid of getting knocked out. In my personal opinion, you picked that vocation. You should give it the respect it deserves and give it your all. So has he been knocked out? Yes. He has been knocked out going forward. He has been knocked out going in to knock out the opponent, and that is a job hazard. That is a price all great fighters pay when they are aggressive. Next, let's look at the undefeated record of Floyd Mayweather Jr. The fact that he's undefeated doesn't mean a great deal. When we look at a record, we need to understand that a record is comprised of names. And since a record is comprised of names, a record is only as good as the names on it. Floyd Mayweather, for a so-called all-time great, has one of the shakiest, emptiest records of any so-called all-time great fighter. Let me point this out also. I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty of this. Floyd Mayweather moved up 5 divisions. And that's great. Manny Pacquiao moved up 8 divisions. 8-division world champion. That's the only time that's ever been. It likely will never happen again. What Floyd Mayweather did has been done before. Manny Pacquiao has 10 world titles. Again, never done. Floyd didn't do that. But let's look at the record. Let's look at the record and let's set the record straight. Before Manny Pacquiao moved up to welterweight, he fought Marco. I have my cheat sheets here, so you can't say I'm not telling you the truth. Before Manny Pacquiao moved up to welterweight, listen up. He fought Marco Antonio Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Eric Morales. Now, let's not get into, well, he lost some of those fights with Juan Manuel Marquez. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Okay? Listen, he was not robbed. Sweet Pea Whitaker was robbed against Julio Cesar Chavez. He was robbed against Oscar De La Hoya. Those are robberies. All right? No. The fight, Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao, all their fights were close, but every one of them was fair. Manny Pacquiao got ripped off against Timothy Bradley. That was a robbery. None of the fights with Manny Pacquiao and Marquez, no matter what you may think, were robberies. So he beat Marcos Antonio Barrera, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Eric Morales before moving up to welterweight. So it's very easy and fair to say that Manny Pacquiao had a better record before moving up to welterweight than Floyd Mayweather had at welterweight. Now, let's finish this up and look at Floyd Mayweather's record. Look at the top names people give credit to Floyd for. They say he's an all-time great. Look at the top names that are on that record that they think supports the claim that he's an all-time great. Miguel Cotto, Shea Mosley, Ricky Hatton, Oscar De La Hoya. Okay? Cotto, Mosley, Hatton, De La Hoya. Let's look at those. Floyd fights Miguel Cotto in 2012, and he wins a unanimous decision. Miguel Cotto fights Manny Pacquiao, and he's TKO'd in 2009. All right? He's 2009, Manny Pacquiao destroys Miguel Cotto. 3 years before Floyd wins a unanimous decision. No one dared say that Miguel Cotto was washed up, that he was over the hill, that he was a shell of himself when Floyd fought him. Nobody dared say that. They gave Floyd credit for beating a man who Manny Pacquiao completely destroyed. Okay? 3 years before. Let's look at Mosley. Floyd Mayweather won a unanimous decision against Shane Mosley in 2010 and was out on his feet in the second round. A year later, Manny Pacquiao beats Mosley, is never hurt, and beats him easier. A year later. Now you might say, oh, it was a year later, but let's understand. Boxing careers can last 15 years. Mosley did not go downhill that fast where Manny Pacquiao should not be given all the credit he deserves for beating him easier 1 year later than Floyd when Floyd was knocked out on his feet. Let's look at Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton loses to Floyd Mayweather. I'm almost finished. Ricky Hatton loses to Floyd Mayweather, gets knocked out, I think, in the 10th round. Okay, 2007. 2 years later, only 2 years later, Hatton is not used up. He's not washed up. Second round KO, he's knocked almost into a coma by Manny Pacquiao. Ricky Hatton. 2 years after, he goes 10 rounds with Floyd. Let's look at Oscar De La Hoya. In 2007, Floyd Mayweather wins a split decision, not unanimous decision, a split decision against De La Hoya. Only 1 year later, Manny Pacquiao stops Oscar De La Hoya. Was De La Hoya finished only 1 year later? No, he was not. So we see all the fighters who Floyd Mayweather's given credit for beating, little Manny, a man who came into the pros at 4'11", only 98 pounds, was a better welterweight than Floyd Mayweather. He beat every common opponent worse than Floyd Mayweather beat him. And lastly, to put the cherry on this cake, let's look at the Joshua Clottey, Margarito, and Timothy Bradley. If we look at Miguel Cotto, him beating better, Mosley, him beating easier, Hatton, him almost destroying, De La Hoya, him stopping. If we take Joshua Clottey, Antonio Margarito, and Timothy Bradley and put them in the fray with Manny Pacquiao, it can easily be supported that this man who started as a flyweight was a better welterweight than Floyd Mayweather Jr. Hands down. Lastly, and I'll throw my pad away, lastly, one of the problems with boxing is that people are excited about Amir Khan possibly fighting Adrian Broner. And they're excited about Floyd Mayweather possibly fighting Marcos Maidana, a man who will not be able to foul him. The referee will not allow him to foul Floyd because Floyd has star power. And Floyd is going to pick him apart. But the state of boxing is so sad that Floyd Mayweather and Marcos Maidana and Amir Khan versus Adrian Broner gets the average fan more excited than the little giant killer Manny Pacquiao fighting the most dangerous man in the lightweight welterweight category, Timothy Bradley. That's the problem with boxing. Manny Pacquiao is the best fighter in boxing today. He is a phenomenon. He is the only throwback. And the fact that people have lost the reality of what boxing really is why he's being overshadowed by a man whose record compared to his is blank. Lastly, is Floyd Mayweather a great fighter? Yes. Why have I defended him at any time? Because I believe there are people who are just racist and are so biased that they would never give him credit for anything. That's why when I see racists rooting for other people, I do root against them for Floyd. But when there is no racism involved, the facts must be said, the facts must be revealed. And the facts as they are shown is that Manny Pacquiao is in a very sad situation where people look at him and put him second to Floyd Mayweather. When Roger Mayweather, Floyd Sr., and yes, Mike Tyson himself being ostracized and having the black community turn their back on him. A man who, yes, I'm saying it, a man who was an icon, who was idolized in a black community before Floyd was ever even heard of. Now there are people on YouTube saying Mike Tyson is a sellout because he said the most impressive fighter after he beat Brandon Rios was Manny Pacquiao. Well, I will say this. Mike Tyson is 100% correct. Even Floyd Sr. said he was surprised with what Manny Pacquiao did with Brandon Rios, and so did Roger Mayweather. Okay? And they're Floyd's family. The fact of the matter is, Manny Pacquiao is a throwback. And right now, as I speak, it is he, not Floyd Mayweather, who's the best fighter putting on gloves today. Fight Camp, Sayf, Carman. Train hard, train smart. See you in the next video.